To answer this question, we need to find the missing side length x in this right-angled triangle using trigonometry. So our first step in all trigonometry problems is to label the sides of our triangle. So I'm going to just pop over to the third tab and put an h in the first box because the longest side is the hypotenuse and it's also opposite the right angle, and the hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle. Then in the second box I'm going to put an O because it is opposite to the angle that we're using in this question, so O for opposite. And in the last box an A because that side is adjacent to the angle we're using in this question, and adjacent means beside. So now that we've filled in our boxes, we can decide what formula to use. And what we want to do is have a look at the question and see which sides have information next to them. We can see that the h side, the hypotenuse, has a value of 61, and the adjacent side, A, has a value of x. So these two sides have information next to them, so we need to use a formula which has h and a in it. And if we look up in the top right hand corner here, I've got quick representations of the three trigonometry formulas. Sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse, cos theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan theta equals opposite over adjacent. So we need to look at these three and figure out which one has hypotenuse and adjacent in it, and that's going to be cos, because neither of the other two use both of those sides. So now we can fill in our next answer boxes with the general form of the cos formula, which is cos bracket theta bracket equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So now that we've got that general formula in there, we can start filling it in with values from the question. The first thing we can fill in is the theta value. So we'll put in a cos and then a bracket, and our angle in this question is 31, so that's what we're going to use to replace theta. Put a 3 and then a 1 and then a closing bracket. So all we've done so far is replace the theta in our general formula with the actual angle from our question. Now we need to fill in the adjacent side value. We need to replace a with whatever's next to it in the question, and that would be an x because that's the unknown that we're trying to find. And now we need to replace the h, the hypotenuse, with the length of the hypotenuse, which in this question is 61. So now that we've successfully filled in our formula, we need to rearrange it until we can get x on its own, because then we'll know the value of x. So to do that, we need to move this divided by 61 over to the left-hand side of the equation. We need to move it past the equals so that all that's left on this right-hand side is x. So if we do that, we need to change its operation from divided by to multiplication, because this is just like rearranging equations that you might have done earlier. When you move a value past the equals, you have to use the inverse operation. So if we're dividing over here, we need to multiply over this side over here. But the first thing we need to do is write down what's already on that left-hand side, which is going to be cos bracket 31 bracket, and then we're going to multiply it by 61. So we're going to take the divided by 61 from here and move it onto that side where it's multiplied by 61. And therefore all that's left on the right hand side is an x. Then all we need to do is put our final answer into these answer boxes by evaluating the left hand side of the equation. And so if we go to the calculator, we can put 31 into the calculator and then hit the cos button to find the cos of that angle, and then multiply that answer by 61 to find the final answer. And our final answer is 52 followed by a whole lot of decimal values, but we need to round it to one decimal place. So we'll go and have a look at the second decimal place, which is an 8, and that tells us we need to round the first decimal place up by 1. So instead of 52.2, our answer will be 52.3. And if we pop that into the last answer boxes, that completes the question.